I don't know. Does that mean mice? Maybe. Adrishva, not seeing at all. Anta vipine, within the forest. Vatsan, the calves. Palancha, and their caretakers. The cowherd boys. Vishvavit, Krishna, who is aware of everything going on throughout the whole cosmic manifestation. Sarvam, everything. Vidikritam was executed by Brahma. Krishna, Lord Krishna. Sahasa, immediately. Avajagamaha, could understand. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. When Krishna was unable to find the calves and their caretakers, the cowherd boys, anywhere in the forest, he could suddenly understand that this was the work of Lord Brahma. Purport. Although Krishna is Vishvavit, the knower of everything happening in the entire cosmic manifestation, as an innocent child, he showed ignorance through Brahma's actions. Although he could immediately understand that these were the doings of Brahma. This pastime is called Brahma Vimohana, the bewilderment of Brahma. Brahma was already bewildered by Krishna's activities as an innocent child, and now he would be further bewildered. Om Jnana Timirandasya Janananda Shalakaya Chakshoranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Tapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupagatamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. This is like every section of the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, is a very intriguing, mystifying section. For those who are not followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who in the Brahma Madhva Sampradaya, for many of them this pastime is not something which they really accept. As Prabhupada mentions in the purport, this pastime is called Brahma Vimohana Lila. And this pastime means that Lord Brahma is bewildered. The pastime of bewildering Lord Brahma. Of course, Lord Brahma is the Parama Guru, the original Guru, Adi Guru in a sense. Of course, Krishna is the real Adi Guru. But he is the Adi Guru of our line, in one sense. So this pastime is very, let's say, unacceptable, unfavorable, unpalatable to the most of the followers of the Madhva Sampradaya, because it shows that Lord Brahma is bewildered. How can one's, Adi Guru be bewildered? Well, it's not so difficult to comprehend, but without proper understanding, or the proper, let's say, understanding from the proper source, then it becomes a point of contempt, or something which contested by some, not by all. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the followers of, certainly of our line, those who understand deeply, and of course Shukadeva Goswami himself, herein, explaining the actual nature of this pastime. Yes, if everyone, even Lord Shiva sometimes becomes bewildered, although he is in a category of, unique category, almost the same as the Supreme Lord, just some very slight differences there. But he also, by the arrangement of the Lord, everything goes on by the arrangement of the Lord. Arjuna also appeared to be perplexed. Sometimes the pure devotee may appear to be like that. Because why? Pure devotees, what is their business? They're instrumental for the will of the Lord. And if it fulfills the will of the Lord, then they happily become bewildered. Actually, before this pastime evolved, as Prabhupada mentions here, Lord Brahma was already bewildered. In fact, this pastime itself is a result of Brahma's bewilderment. When Krishna, there was one pastime before this one, which was the killing of a serpent, Aghasura. The Aghasura. You know Aghasura? You know the Aghasura demon? Who's the Aghasura demon? I saw him yesterday in the forest. Yeah. He wasn't very big, he was about this long. I was clearing wood in the forest, and I picked up this log of wood, and this big snake slithered out from underneath the log. Old kind of half-rotten log. I don't know if it was, maybe a Aghasura, I'm not sure. Not quite as big as the Aghasura demon. But he was in a form of a great serpent, a great snake. Even little snakes. I mean, I'm not particularly scared by snakes, but a lot of people are scared by snakes. I think I'm a kind of a snake-like person, so snakes don't really scare me very much. They probably would if they bit me. But anyway, whatever it was, I don't know what type of snake it was, but it slithered away. But many people are scared, even by a little snake. It can be very scary. So this serpent, Aghasura, was massive. I mean, so massive, he swallowed all the cowherd boys' calves. He just swallowed them all up. Krishna didn't go in. It's another pastime, we won't get into that, another form of bewilderment. But again, in this case, Krishna appeared to be somewhat bewildered. What to do? Why is he bewildered? Why is Krishna bewildered? How can God be bewildered? Very interesting. Well, it's all part of the pastimes. It adds flavor to the pastimes. Krishna is appearing in a human-like form. And he's performing pastimes with his friends who don't even think of him as God. They just think of him as an ordinary person. Not an ordinary person. He's their best friend. He's the most wonderful person. But they see him as one of them. They see him as one of them. As their child, Mother Yasoda was thinking Krishna is just like my ordinary child. Just like my ordinary child. How she becomes, in a sense, she's bewildered. She thinks he's an ordinary child. She's so absorbed in Vatsalya Ras. This is the motherly affection for God. But if she thinks her son is God, then the whole pastime is like, it's not intimate. It doesn't have that madhurya, that intimacy of sweetness. Imagine if you were a mother and all the time you're thinking your son is God. It's not the same. Or even if you know him as being the prime minister or president, you don't see it like that. The mother sees her son, no matter what he is, as her son. It's intimacy, sweetness. And the son sees his mother as his mother, depending on his mother. This is the pastime. So Krishna is reciprocating with Lord Brahma, because Lord Brahma is not in this Madhurya Ras. He's in Aishvarya. He's in reverential relationship with God. And his mood This is why vast majority of people, even in the Madhva Sampradaya, they're so much in this mood of Aishwarya, this reverential mood. They can't understand this intimacy in relationships. It's beyond. It's something very confidential. And most of us, if we are all religious, we're brought up in a completely reverential way. God is the Almighty. He's the one who punishes. He's the Creator. God Almighty, we bow down before you. It's a very kind of like, it's a relationship, but it's a very distant relationship. It's not at all intimate. This doesn't bring so much pleasure to Krishna as the intimate relationship. It may be the foundation of all relationships to accept God as the supreme and accept myself as his menial servant. That certainly is the foundation, but it goes beyond that, even in the plane of servitorship. What to speak of other levels? One factor about God is that nothing can exist in this world unless it has its origins in him. This material world is merely a reflection, perverted, of the spiritual realm. And all the various relationships we see in this world are not independent entirely from that which is in the spiritual world. Krishna, what is, for a normal person, what is the sweetest relationship they have? For a normal person, the sweetest relationship. We're talking materially. What is the sweetest relationship that you can have? Yes. It could be seen from the mother's point of view, particularly. The mother for the child. Maybe not from the child's point of view in terms of conscious awareness, because it doesn't have the conscious awareness at that time. But from the mother's point of view, yes. Later on, the child may or may not consider that the sweetest relationship. In another sense, one could say, what is the most pleasing relationship? Let's put it a little differently. Between for a young boy or a young girl, what is the most pleasing relationship?
Conjugal.
Normally, isn't it? The sweetness of having a love affair with a young boy or a young girl. It's and even at all stages of life, that kind of bondage between husband and wife or between lovers is so strong. And generally that's considered to be the main thing. When you see love scenes, you don't generally see mother and child scenes. It's always boy and girl, man and woman. It's the most compelling and driving force, practically. It's perverted, it's self-centered, it's whatever it is. But that has its origins in Krishna. This, in the pastimes of Krishna, and those devotees who wish to serve him in that mood, as his maidservants, or as his wives, or as his gopis, like that. And in this case, we're hearing another aspect. We're hearing how Krishna is enjoying pastimes with his cowherd boys. And of course, you've read some of the pastime already. We're just beginning, and already Brahma has already stolen away the calves and the cowherd boys. And in the previous chapter, this was Sakyarasa, the relationship of friends. It's so sweet. It's much sweeter than the servant relationship. Krishna enjoys, as we enjoy this in this world, more than just working for someone as a servant. The friendly relationship, and even more so the motherly relationship, or parental, and even more so the conjugal one, of the sweetness of the intimacy. Of course, not everyone's experienced it, unfortunately or fortunately, whichever way you look at it, but not everyone in the material world has experienced the sweetness of that conjugal relationship. And oftentimes it's very bitter in this world. But in the spiritual world it has no limits. It's ever increasing, full of various So many aspects, unlimited aspects of relationship. But back to this pastime, Brahma saw Krishna, how he killed the Aghasura demon was absolutely amazing. Brahma was watching. He was watching from above. And his name is this, Krishna's bewildered. Then he saw him kill the demon in such an amazing way. Even the demigods were scared of this demon. He was so powerful, Aghasura. So Krishna killed him, so that Brahma was so inspired. So there are different aspects to this pastime. The one is the straightforward aspect, which is the pastime we're hearing, how Brahma, becomes proud, thinking, because after the killing of the Aghasura demon, Krishna and his Kaura boyfriend sit down to take a nice prasad, nice breakfast. I think the breakfast on the banks of the river Yamuna. And they're all having fun. And the Kaura boys are stealing from Krishna's plate or his lunch pack, and they're playing games with each other. So with normal story we hear is Lord Brahma becomes, what is this? Is this Kaura boy really God? Is he really God? He's playing like an ordinary boy. Is he really God? I don't know. I better check this out. I better check this out and see if he's really God. Let me test him. So, he wanted to test Krishna. So he tested him. And of course, Lord Brahma has great power. He has mystic powers too. So by his mystic powers, he stole, first of all, he stole the calves, didn't he? The calves were grazing. They were looking for fresh, new grass, like calves do. Green grass. And they were going deep into the forest. And whilst they were out of sight of the coward boys, Krishna, Brahma stole them away and put them in caves. Suddenly the coward boys, they looked and they said, "Oh, Krishna, where have the calves gone? Where are they? We can't see them anymore." They got afraid for the calves. Krishna said, "Don't worry, carry on with your party here. I'll go and get them. I'll just be a few moments." In this sense, Krishna bewildered the coward boys also in a sense. So they carried on. It's just a moment. They thought Krishna went away. And he went searching for the calves. And as you may have heard, he went all over the place, the forest, the mountains. He looked everywhere. Nowhere could he find the calves in the valleys. And so eventually, where are we now? Able to find the calves. Okay, we passed that. Then he came back. And when he came back in the previous verse, it mentions that the coward boys had also disappeared. They were nowhere to be seen. My word, what a situation, huh? First the calves had disappeared and they couldn't be found. And he comes back to the same spot and the cowherd boys are also not there. Whew. What a situation. Imagine. There's a lot more to come. So that's one thing. Brahma used his mystic power, stole them all away and locked them up in caves. Hid them away, put them under his mystic power, and thought that now I will see what power Krishna has. So that's one thing, or he doesn't have. He was testing Krishna. Another aspect, explained by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, is that Lord Brahma was thinking, Krishna has performed so many wonderful pastimes. Let me do something now which will cause Krishna to perform a pastime even more wonderful than anything he's done before. To prove that I am not God and he is God. There's another angle of it, looking at. There are other angles, Krishna's personal arrangement to reciprocate with all the residents of Vrindavan. and to unfold amazing pastime, of course, and to reciprocate with Lord Brahma, who worships Krishna Aishwarya Bhav, so he wanted to show him his Aishwarya. He wanted to show it to him. So there's many angles you could look at in this pastime. It's not just... But from our point of view, we just look at the simple pastime. Here, the Lord Brahma is thinking now, and he's stolen away, and Krishna immediately understands this is Brahma's doing. He's all-knowing. Huh? He knew this was Brahma. But he didn't show it. He was walking around like a bewildered boy, a child. Bewildered. Where have they gone? What happened? Who did this? Where have they gone? And that's what Brahma saw. And then Brahma kind of disappeared, as you know, for a whole year. Actually, one split second of his time. He basically just turned his, not even turned his face, he just turned his eyes for a flash. And when his eyes turned back on the pastime, he became completely bewildered, as you'll hear later on. At this point of time, is Krishna playing the role. If you're in a drama, we had lots of dramas just now in Vrindavan. Every night there was a big drama after the program in the Krishna hall. There was a long, sometimes an hour and a half, 2 hours drama every night. Different devotees were playing parts, sometimes outsiders, different persons playing the parts so expertly you couldn't tell who they were in terms of their normal day. They were so absorbed in their parts that they were playing. And then we didn't see all of them, we saw 2 or 3 of them. But that's the art, isn't it? You completely identify with the part. So if you're playing the part of a human cowherd boy, then you have to play the part. So Krishna is playing the part as superhuman. But it's not that his Aishwarya, his power, his opulences are completely missing. This is a higher opulence, this sweetness, but still, in relationship to this world, we've seen in the killing of Aghasura, or when Krishna revealed the universal form in his mouth. He performs these various, you could say, shows his greatness also in power, in the form of power on these occasions. But in this particular case, at this moment, it appears that he's hiding it. He's hiding it. He looks like a bewildered boy. But as you may know, if you've read the pastime, imagine if Krishna, as an ordinary boy, were to return to Vrindavan with none of the coward boys and calves. Came back alone. Imagine how all the gopis and how all the cows would feel. Oh, I don't know what happened. Maybe they all drowned. I don't know. They all disappeared. Don't get too attached. Don't be so attached. Imagine how they'd all feel. They'd be totally against the whole principle of the pastimes, to bring pleasure to his devotees. So Krishna then performed another incredible, talk about in excess of Lord Brahma's power, but a pastime which was way beyond Brahma's imagination, which I won't mention because that will be coming up shortly in another class or another session. But an amazing, Krishna wanted to satisfy Brahma, he wanted to satisfy all the calves and cows, he wanted to satisfy himself, he wanted to satisfy everybody. Now another amazing thing about this pastime, there are many, but another amazing thing about this pastime is that, and you may have read it in the purports, I don't know if it's mentioned here or not, but Lord Brahma was even more bewildered. Because although he thought he stole away all the cows and the cowherd boys, he didn't. Another amazing thing. Of course, for the pastime we say he did. It would be a little bit of disappointment if otherwise. he didn't actually steal the original ones are all eternal associates of the Lord. They're the Lord's associates, the same with the calves and the cows. Of course, some of them may be coming into the pastimes, but the general understanding given by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is that Brahma stole, they're called Mayika forms, they're created by Mahamaya, identical forms of those eternal associates of the Lord whom Brahma himself stole them away. And the actual coward boys and the actual calves were under the influence of Yoga Maya for 1 year. They didn't realize any moment was even passed. They said, "Oh, Krishna, you came back so quickly," although a year had passed. They had no concept of time passing, any more than Brahma. So, of course, Brahma's 1 moment is a year on this planet, and it didn't take him long before Brahma came to his senses and realized, well, ooh, I think I made a mistake here. Sometimes you do something and you immediately realize you made a mistake. Huh? You immediately say, oh my God, I shouldn't have done that. But it's too late, you've done it. Especially if you're driving a car, you know? You ever had that? Sometimes you make a mistake, and, oh, but it's too late. Just a flash of a moment. You know? So he had that mistake, and made that mistake in the sense, but not a mistake. It was all meant to be, and it further gives us a chance to enter into a little bit into the sweetness of Krishna and Krishna's pastimes. If it didn't take place, we wouldn't have that opportunity, and so many aspects which we briefly mentioned of this. So those calves, and of course Krishna, another thing we've not mentioned, but another form of calves were there, and coward boys. So 3 sets were there. Not 1, 3. And so much more you'll hear later about the 3rd set. So in every regard, Krishna bewildered Brahma. Krishna's bewilderment bewilders everything. This is the most bewildering thing of all, is that Krishna's bewildered. In one sense, how can God be bewildered? And again, related to that in a sense, is we understand that Brahma, who stole away the calves and the coward boys, what did he do after this pastime? It was over. He offered prayers, okay. But in terms of, what am I going to do about this? You know, it's like when Indra tried to devastate Vrindavan, he went to Lord Brahma. He was advised by Brihaspati, Indra's spiritual master, go and ask Brahma what to do. I think he got into trouble with Krishna as well. Why don't you go and ask him for advice what to do now? So Indra went to see Lord Brahma. What did Lord Brahma say? He said, I'm sorry, boy, I can't help you. I try to steal a few cows and coward boys. You try to kill them. The only one who can help you here is Sarabi. You better go and see her. She's very dear to Krishna. I'm not so dear. I committed offense to Krishna. You better go and see Sarabi. Maybe she can help you. So he was feeling very bad about what he did also. All kinds of different emotions were there. But he was feeling really bad about, stealing away. What a thing to do. I mean, it's practically the greatest offense. Great offense. I was reading the other day, Prabhupada was saying that, Bhaktisiddhanta mentioned, the one who interferes with the performance of Sankirtan is the greatest demon. To interfere. Total atheistic demon. So to interfere, because the pastime, that Sankirtan is the pastime of Lord Chaitanya. This is the manifest pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So to impede the performance of Sankirtan Yajna is a Maha Aparad. Because people don't know what they're doing, what to do. Unfortunate, but that's how it is. So Brahma, he interfered with the pastimes of the Lord. He tried to stop those pastimes. He tried to stop them out of pride. He was overwhelmed with pride. He thought, my opulences are so great. This is the other side of his thinking. If you're going into a drama, you may voluntarily enter into it. But then you've got to, like Hiranyakashipu or something, you've got to really absolutely play the part. You can't start thinking, oh no, really, I'm actually the eternal servant of Lord Narayana. I can't do this, you know. He completely forgets that he's the eternal servant of Lord Narayana. Totally identifies with as his enemy. Does everything he can to try to kill Krishna. So, Brahma in a different way, of course, but he's showing off his opulences here. He's thinking, maybe I'm great. Who is this coward boy? So, pride. Lord Brahma was very, very proud. So he wanted to do something after this pastime was over. He thought, what am I going to do to atone for this great offense? What am I going to do? The offense is pride. Pride is basically the biggest. Of course, it manifests in envy also, but this is the biggest obstacle, if you want to call it that, enemy of the soul in terms of the aspiring devotee. Pride, false ego, biggest enemy. So Brahma's false ego got a little bit better of him by the will of the Lord. And what did he do to try to atone for that? Besides offering prayers, which were not very pleasing to Krishna, in one sense he accepted them, but they're boring to Krishna. He just wants to get on with his coward boy pastimes. So what did Brahma do on top of that? He went to the eternal world, the Navadvip. We can't see. We see it as a historical time factor, but it's not. It's always present, even within this universe. Unseen, unmanifested. But it's always there. He went to the plain of Navadvip, which is the place of... Pardon? Well, that's right, but in terms of its mood. Oh, darling. Place where offences are not considered. So he went there to pray, and perform austerities, praying for the Lord's mercy to forgive him, not just to forgive him, but to change his mentality so it would never happen again. Pride. To release him of this potential of thinking I'm great, of thinking I'm the doer, of thinking I'm a competitor or whatever. So he went there to do that. And for a long, long time he was meditating and performing austerities there. And then eventually the Lord appeared before him. And he appeared in the form of? The Lord appeared in the form of? Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Lord Gauranga. And as Lord Gauranga, he said, Haridas was overwhelmed, and he saw the Lord humbly falling at his feet. And he prayed that you please fulfill my desire. I want to take birth in the lowest form, free of false pride. Please, whatever it takes, get rid of my false ego. Whatever it takes. False ego. So Lord said that yes, he will fulfill his desire, but at the same time, you will be my chief assistant in my next appearance in this world, in spreading the Yuga Dharma. You would chant. He initiated him actually there on the spot. He said, your name will be Haridas, and you will chant 3 lakhs a day. The holy name. In fact, people wonder, when did Haridas take it? He got initiated there in one sense. He was given a name and given his sadhana, there and then by Lord Gauranga. And then of course when Lord Chaitanya actually appeared, he appeared in a Muslim family, and of course then later on took up or manifested the service which was given to him by Lord Chaitanya already, even way before Lord Chaitanya appeared in this world. Many years before Lord Chaitanya actually appeared, he was already chanting 3 lakhs of names. So in that way, Lord Brahma, there's more to that, but Lord Brahma thus wanted to atone for this, but the real atonement is not exactly, in a sense. We also think like that sometimes. We do something wrong, we just ask for forgiveness for that, but we don't look to the cause of why we did the wrong thing in the first place. And then we do the same thing again to someone else. Huh? We do the same mistake. It's nice to ask forgiveness. It's like in some religions, they go to church or to the temple or something or another, and they pray for forgiveness. Huh? They commit some sin, and they go to church and say, please forgive me, please forgive me. But why don't they pray, please, my Lord, please relieve me from this, a separatist mentality, this offensive mentality that caused me to sin in the first place. Why not the change of heart? Lord Chaitanya's movement is for a change of heart, not just to free us. Liberation is not what we're looking for. Liberation, in most cases when we read about liberation, it means freedom from sinful reactions. It doesn't even mean Brahman realization when the word's mentioned in most cases. Just like Ajamil, that was freedom from sinful reactions. It wasn't liberation to Brahman. He was free from his sinful reactions for committing sins. But what's the use of that? It was rejected by Parikshit Maharaj, unless there's a change of heart. The heart has to change. The heart has to change. And how do we evoke a change of heart? In Lord Brahma's case, Lord directly had to say, gave him this opportunity. What is our chance of changing the heart? He accepted. Lord Brahma accepted. The first thing is to accept that a change of heart is required, not a change of everything else. Sometimes we miss the point. I was glancing at some notes this morning, and one of them, I'm going to look up where it's from, said, you're not a failure until you start blaming others. As soon as you start blaming others, you are a failure. There is nobody to blame at all. Nobody. It's just our own false perception is the only mistake. Our sins. Change of perception. So the first thing is to realize that we need a change of perception. Not a change of place, not a change of partner, not a change of body. That will go on. But that's not the solution. That goes on ad infinitum. It's a change of perception that's required. The false ego is all about perceiving things. We're perceiving ourselves in the center, and we're perceiving everything in relationship to ourselves. Just like we were reading this morning, Prabhupada was saying, Namamrita, show me God. Show me God. But you haven't got the eyes to see God. You can't. What can we see? Show me your heart. I don't believe you've got a heart. Of course, we may believe we do. But we can't see it. You're dead if you cut it out. You won't be able to see it either. Or show me my heart. Many things we can't see, even within what we think are knowledge. Not to speak of that beyond their knowledge. But to speak of God is beyond the material perception of Krishna, Nama, Devi. We can't see him with material senses. Premanjana Chuta Bhakti Vilochanena, Prabhupada was quoting. Premanjana Chuta Bhakti Vilochanena Santaksadeva Didayeshu Vilokayanti. The Lord reveals himself in the heart, which is, or the eye, which is tinged by the salve of love. When our heart is full of love for him, he reveals himself. Not by our demand, by our imperfect demand. We haven't got the vision to see. Even materially, many examples could be given. Because we're covered by this false pride, we're seeing imperfectly. So what's the solution? How we can even to understand these pastimes is very, very difficult. an ordinary person, they either make no sense, they don't accept it at all, or some false understanding that Krishna is just an ordinary person, or something crazy. Very difficult to understand. Of course, we hear from the liberated Krishna, Diyamanat, from those who are pure devotees of the Lord, those who are freed of any material misconceptions. They can reveal this to us in due course of time. To understand Krishna unlimited. Well, that's often understood that one of the first characteristics of realization of Krishna is to realize that he is, materially speaking, inconceivable and can only be conceived if and so he wishes to reveal himself to us. Not by our efforts, not by our analysis, only by his will. Otherwise he's inconceivable. So what can we do to, let's say, change that perception? Not that we can understand everything, nobody can, but at least we can understand that which is required. Proper understanding of Krishna's position. So how can we change our perception? By cleaning, okay, so what needs cleaning today? In New Mayapur, what needs cleaning? Nitai Sachi Sutta Prabhupada said by cleaning. So what needs to be cleaned today? I don't know. I've not looked with an eye. I haven't had a good look at anything yet. What needs cleaning? Huh? Ananga? Huh? The heart? How are you going to clean your heart? Have you got some brush that goes down into the heart and can sweep away there? Something you can put down your throat? They probably have something. What do you mean, clean the heart? What is that? What's that, cleaning the heart? Huh?
Chant the holy names with meditation.
Is that the cleaning process? Does everyone agree? Pardon? Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Wow. You should go. You're going shopping today, Jivananda Prabhu? Ask them if they have anything to clean the heart. Okay? See if you can get something there to clean the heart. We could all do with a bit of help around here. Clean our hearts. Have you got any cleaning material to clean my heart? Today. Yes, we do. What is that? Huh? Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, chanting the holy name. Congregationally, particularly, Sankirtan is congregation. Can also mean complete. And Prabhupada, one of the nice things we heard, one of the last things we heard from Vaishesha, I think it was the last on the memory series of Siddhanta. In Vrindavan we were listening. It was Vyasaki Prabhu, remembering. He went to see one of Prabhupada's godbrothers once, his name was Dr. Kapoor. Prabhupada godbrother, his actual name was, I think it was Shamsundar, wasn't his actual name. He was initiated by Bhaktisiddhanta, but he always went by the name Dr. Kapoor. So Vyasika was the one who went to see him one time to interview him. And he was asking about his remembrances of Prabhupada, especially in Prayag, because he was in Prayag when Prabhupada was in Prayag, in Allahabad, as it's called now. Prabhupada had a pharmacy there in Prayag. We went to see him. And Prabhupada was showing him some of his medicines, this for this. It's good medicine for pain and for this thing and that thing. And he said, have you got a medicine to cure me of all my material ills, and a medicine which can awaken my love for Krishna? Have you got that medicine? And he said, no. Prabhupada said, no. But I've got the formula. Oh? You have the formula? Tell me, what is the formula? Trinada peace and Nichena Tarora peace Krishna. Amananda Manadena Kirtanya. That is the formula. be lower than the straw on the street. This is the key verse if we want to clean our hearts. One thing to take the medicine, but this is how you take the medicine. Any doctor knows you have to take the medicine properly to have the proper effect. Whatever goes along with it. More tolerant than a tree, respectful to all others, not expecting any respect on our own account. Freed of all false prestige. In this way, you could actually perform Sankirtan. Kaviraj Goswami says we should wear this verse around our neck. Constant remembrance, just like you may wear a necklace or something. Constant remembrance, always remembering this. The mood, actual mood of service to the name. Not just about chanting mechanically, but it's the mood, the relationship. At our stage, this is the method. This is the approach. Hare Krishna. So 8:45 is upon us, and it's time to finish. Any questions? Be joy, Prabhu.
Probably, I don't know about it, but you mentioned in the very beginning the Brahma of Sampradaya, are they Vaishnavas?
Yes, they're Vaishnavas.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're in a different mood. A different mood in one sense, it depends. There are different, obviously, even in our own ISKCON movement, or any Gaudiya Math movement, there will be devotees in different moods. I don't mean materially speaking, but even in terms of their, say, feelings towards the Supreme Lord. And that will become more evident as the heart becomes cleansed. At this stage it may just be some sentiment. It's there even now. Some are more attracted to various aspects of the Lord. Deity worship, some are more attracted to other things. They don't really find too much interest in this or that. Even in deity worship, some devotees are more attracted to the forms of the Lord. Some are more attracted to the rules, the strict rules and regulations, and the whole world will have to break before they break their regulations and so on. Let everyone else go away, but I'm not going to. They stick to it like a burning rock. So different devotees are different, and generally speaking, the followers of Madhvacharya, especially in South India, they're usually very, very rigid in their worship of the Lord. It's worship of not Radha and Krishna, worship of Lakshmi Narayan, like that, reverential worship of the Lord. And they see their role as being like a servant of the rules and regulations, basically. So the intimacy or the Madhurya aspect of the relationship does not come in. The Madhurya aspect in our line was first introduced by Madhavendra Puri. It wasn't manifest before that, or at least it wasn't revealed before that. He revealed it, this intimacy of relationship with Godhead. Otherwise it was just servant and master, nothing beyond that. So Brahma is behaving in that mood, you could say, to a large extent. And his Sampradaya basically follows that. Lord Chaitanya's movement is based on Madhurya. Now, it's incredible, isn't it, how this is what Lord Chaitanya basically, what he's come to give, isn't it? He's given this opportunity for something which was never before available. Doesn't talk about it in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna manifested these pastimes, but for the vast majority of people, inaccessible, misunderstood. But Lord Chaitanya has come to make this accessible for all of us, to give us this chance to enter into that. He hasn't come, the foundation is there. Of course the foundation has to be there. Of any building, the foundation has to be strong. But the essence which he's come to teach is through the Sankirtan movement, is this opportunity to actually enter into these Madhurya pastimes, these sweet pastimes of opportunity at least. Whether we take the opportunity is another thing. That's what he's given. So that was only revealed, started to reveal by Madhavendra Puri. He planted the seed in their Sampradaya. And that was developed by Ishvara Puri and fully fructified during the time of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya's followers are following in the footsteps of Gaudiya. There's a certain branch of the Madhava Sampradaya. Yeah. That's why, where is it? Oh. What was that pastime now? Oh yeah, it was in the Back to Godhead, wasn't it? There was an article in the Back to Godhead magazine about this pastime, I believe, way back in the 70s during Prabhupada's time. This Brahma Vimohana Leela, and, putting Lord Brahma. Was it this pastime? Where did Samadhi Maharaji got involved in this? Do you remember the exact? It was Balabhacharya, but what has that got to do with the Brahma Vimohana Leela? When Balabhacharya, the article was about it was about Balabhacharya. Balabhacharya is a great acharya, and in Gujarat, Balabhacharya is one of the most famous acharyas, gurus, great teachers. And Samadhi Maharaji was a follower of Balabhacharya. Vishnu Swami Sampradaya, I think. He was a Vishnu Swami, one of the authorized Sampradaya. And he was a great devotee of Krishna, authorized. He came to see Lord Chaitanya. And in that relation, just like Lord Brahma is Sampradaya, is the head in one sense around Sampradaya. And Balabhacharya is like, a little bit like the Madhavacharya or something, their Sampradaya. And he came to see Lord Chaitanya, and Balabhacharya had written a commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam. And he wanted to present it to Lord Chaitanya, but Lord Chaitanya wouldn't listen to it. For whatever reason. A very different mood, a little pride involved there. He wouldn't listen to it. So this article was published describing this and how Lord Chaitanya kind of rejected Balabhacharya. It's like a prostitute or something. One who doesn't accept the Swami, so that Sridhar Swami is the original commentator, is like a prostitute. Another wife who doesn't accept the husband and goes off to a laman is like a prostitute. So he said like that. But this was between, sometimes Prabhupada would talk strongly about his godbrothers also. But he didn't, it wasn't that we imitate that. Different. So like that, this article, so Prabhupada had to kind of appease Samadhi Maharaji. He couldn't stomach this. Although it's there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's not Prabhupada, didn't make it up. Just the devotee who wrote the article was just saying what